Hello, I am live over here on YouTube and Facebook and over here on Instagram at The Tarot Philosopher. My name is Rebecca. This is Free Tarot Fridays, which is a weekly-ish thing that I do where I come on here and chat to you a little bit about aspects of the tarot or whatever I'm thinking about. And then I do a free mini reading for someone I have not read for before, usually. If you would like that to be you and get a free mini reading from me sometime on this show, I was going to say sometime on this live stream, please drop me a line at cleartarotnyc@gmail.com or just message me over here or over here. Let me know. Put a question in the chat. I was just thinking about the fact that I have lost my comments. No, here they are. That some of the calmest moments in my life right now are like the 4 minutes before I press go live, because everything's pretty much done. I've gotten the lighting the way I want it, or as good as it's going to get. And I kind of am just sitting here. And it reminds me that there are times where you need the moment of I have nothing to do and I'm just sitting here, and that we need to create it for ourselves. Because without this container of this live stream, right, I would probably go through my day just doing stuff, and not really giving myself any moments of reflection or stillness. And it's not like all of my responsibilities disappeared because I sat down here. So it's not that like I suddenly had no responsibilities and so could take the 5 minutes to be still. It's that I made a container in which it was possible. Like something about it is like there wasn't enough time to start anything, and it was too much time to do whatever the opposite of that is. And that sort of, in a way, segues into something I wanted to talk about, which is the two cards that I've been seeing pop up over and over for people lately. If you're just joining me for the first time, I work in theater and in music, but I've been reading tarot for 20 years and I've been recently doing it. I was going to say in public, but like making less of a secret of it and telling people about it. And I've been reading events and parties, which I really love, which are very fast, short readings, one after the other. And I'm always interested in seeing the same cards pop up over and over, always making room for the fact that I could just not be shuffling my deck very well. Sure. However, this guy, very often, the 10 of Wands, and my friend over here, the 7 of Pentacles. And I think of these cards as working cards. There's a couple of cards that like portray, minor arcana cards that portray people at work and our relationship to work and the way we get things done. And whenever I see this, I'm like, too many projects, too many ideas at once, all wonderful things by themselves. The minute you try to do them all at once, you become paralyzed. And that's not a secret, but it is something we do a lot, that this guy's carrying the weight of just too many things at once. A wand by itself can make magic. 10 wands at once, all you're doing is holding a bunch of wands and trying not to drop one of them. And the other one being the 7 of Pentacles, which I just want to tell on myself for a little, as they say, that I realize that almost every time I see this, I see impatience. I see someone standing over their garden being like, come on, is it okay? When's it going to finish blooming or whatever? And that may be me putting myself into it, because you could also look at this card and say, this is a person very satisfied looking at the garden that they've created and the achievements, the things they've been able to make and do. Pentacles are things of the world, money, things that we do have, create, finished products. And I will also say, though, that this is why I always say that what does that card mean is a bad question, right? Because the meaning of the card is people usually mean that, like, what does it mean for my life or for the answer to my question? You can't really know that until you see the rest of the cards in the spread or what's around it. And so in some contexts, this does carry with it a little bit of what I would say work anxiety and perfectionism. And I may have said this to you guys already. It just made me think of a thing that I've been thinking a lot about lately. And I'm not sure if this is a human thing or very much an American human thing. But I've been noticing lately that when I'm hearing a list of virtues or a list of like what is good about someone, the term hardworking comes up a lot, right? That comes up in politics too. Like, you're all good, hardworking Americans, or like she's really responsible. She works really hard. I mean, that comes up a lot. And of late, I have started to wonder if we're not doing ourselves a little bit of a disservice and kind of missing the mark with that, because I think what we mean is Willingness to work hard when necessary is a virtue. Not being lazy or not checking out or not giving up. Someone who is tenacious and willing to look for solutions and willing to keep their mind focused on their goal and do whatever it takes, and also to help other people, right? The willingness to work hard when it's necessary, I think, is a virtue. Working hard on its own, I question that, because sometimes it's not what's called for. And I think sometimes working really hard, which I'm thinking of as generating effort, pushing for something, helping. This came up in a conversation this morning of like the word help, just carrying a little tiny red flag along with it of like, is that what you're doing? Or are you trying to control something? Not to be down on helping. Helping is great if it's really help. And I think, sometimes like I'm trying to think of a good analogy for this because mostly my job is thinking of analogies. And it's like, that bringing, a sledgehammer to something is a great idea if what you're doing is building a new house or knocking down an old house. Not such a great idea if what you're doing is just trying to set the table, right? In that case, bringing a lot of effort and strength and will to bear on the situation would not only not help, but it might actively harm. So I think sometimes, myself included, a lot of us get very attached to this idea that working hard in itself is a virtue, and we bring the same amount of working hard to every task, whether or not we've asked ourselves if that's actually what is needed. And we tend to, of course, by implication, downplay rest or pausing or letting go. And we say a lot of things to ourselves about how we're lazy if we're in a place of waiting. But all creation and all creativity and all endeavors needs a period of bringing effort to bear and a period of letting it go in some way or another. And also there's just things in life that come to us by grace. And I think that sometimes when we get very attached to like hardworking as a virtue, we mistrust things that don't need it, that come to us without trying. And we get very caught up in like, did I deserve that? Was it okay because I didn't work for it? And so I guess that's just my nugget today is just let's question that. Not because it is not wonderful to be willing to work hard when work is needed, but working hard by itself is just a verb. It's not actually a virtue. It doesn't translate to responsible all the time or kind or effective. And I think that's worth remembering. So it's just come up in a lot of readings because that Seven of Pentacles is sometimes in the readings that I've been doing for people, I see it carrying with it a little anxiety of like, is it okay that right now I'm just standing still and not actively like gardening? Can I trust these plants to bloom without my like standing over them and yelling at them? And that 10 of Wands is like, I think another danger with thinking of working hard as a virtue is that we think the more stuff we pile on to the pile, the more virtuous we are. So it's like, okay, I'm going to do this project and I'll also do that. And I'll also do that. And I'll also do that. And then very often what happens is we don't do anything, because if you're anything like me, you go into paralysis when there's too much, or you do, forgive my language, a crap job on everything because you're spread too thin. That's my spiel today. If you are watching this for the first time, or you're watching the clip that I am this time going to make and send out to my mailing list, which you can join at cleartarotnyc.com. My name is Rebecca. I read tarot cards and also do other things. And every week I like to come on here and chat on Friday at noon about a tarot related topic, and then do a free reading for someone who has a question. You can pop your question in the chat if you're showing up, or you can just send me a message anytime and say, hey, you've never read for me before and I want to be the free reading on Free Tarot Fridays, and I will read for you whether you are here or not. And that is something I'm going to do today for Tamara, who got in touch with me and gave me a question and said that she couldn't be here at noon. Full disclosure, I know her, so I know where she is, and she's not just blowing off Free Tarot Fridays, but you can. And I'm going to read for her real fast, and then she can watch it later. And that if you are tuning into this at any point, I would urge you not to say, oh, well, this reading is for Tamara, and leave, because probably whatever I'm saying in it will have something that resonates for you. So we'll see. And Tamara's question, I believe, is, should I go into business on my own, or should I work for someone else? Which is a question that is, I'm not going to say universal, but familiar to me and to a lot of people. And let's see what the cards have to say about it before I go running my mouth. But I think it's significant, right? When is the time to take the risk? When has the garden reached capacity and we need to create something larger? And that creating something larger and moving to the next level could either be working for someone or going out on our own. Like, I don't want to, there are many shades of gray. My whole life right now is about discovering shades of gray and talking to people about it. But either one of those could be the step forward and the leveling up that I think is what she's really asking about, depending on what it is. And an expression that's coming to mind right now that I feel like has bearing on this is, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, which is applies to work situations. But I think if Tamara is going to work for someone else, it has to be someone who's bringing her to a new level and who's inspiring, and that she really feels an impulse to serve, because service from the right place is an incredibly rewarding, wonderful part of life. And from the wrong place, it's like chafing at a restraint and being like, God, I wish my ideas had room to thrive. So ultimately, as every tarot card reading is, it is up to her. But I'm going to put out the cards. And as I always say, I'm going to say some stuff that I see, and she can take what she likes and leave the rest. So let me just see what's going on here. Well, the first thing that comes up, I mean, is, and if this may have just been an abstract question, but it does feel like there is a real opportunity there. And if it hasn't revealed itself, it will, because one of the first things I'm seeing is this Two of Swords, which is a very clear indecision between two courses of action. And this is where I always say, hey, when you don't know what to do, don't do anything. Like, remember that whole rest and, activity and working hard is not always the answer, because the first thing that came up was the Moon, which I love to see these beautiful big major cards that always are saying, yes, you're right. You are at a crossroads. This is a big moment. Let's honor it as a big moment. And the thing about the Moon is that I always see hidden things coming to light. So I feel like what I want to say to Tamara right now is more will be revealed. So another reason not to make a move before you know it's the time is because your soul is telling you don't have all the information yet, right? So there's something floating up from the depths that will make everything clear. And the thing to do is just stay still and acknowledge that you're in a dilemma for the moment. But I see that shifting, because what comes out of that is this Magician card, which is, such a beautiful card that has to do with realizing one's full potential, using one's talents, making things happen, being able to create, being able to take two opposing things and make them work together, water into wine, all that stuff that we all have within us, this like well of creative power. And so what that says to me is, if you can just hang on and not actually make this decision yet, you will come into a place of feeling very empowered. If you don't hang on, I just want to flag that this is coming up in near future. And so what that says to me is a couple of things. One thing being, don't rush, but another thing being, like, you don't get out of this without someone's having feelings about it. You know what I mean? There's no version of change where nothing hurts. Like, even if it's like, I'm changing and there are things about the old thing that I will miss, and that I will lose or whatever, or like, there's always a compromise. So I feel like I just want to sort of flag that. I'm interested in the fact that immediate past, we have all of this fantasy, right? Seven of Cups, dreams, pictures, images, ideas of what things could be. And sometimes, I mean, if you're me, it's very tempting to just stay in that place forever. Like, well, I don't really want to make the move because I will just keep thinking about how great it could be, or how whatever it could be for a long time, rather than make the move and maybe have something be clumsy. So I feel like this Three of Swords is like, let's watch our motivations. Let's try to like detach with love from whatever the old thing is. And also know that you can't control people's feelings, but the Three of Swords always kind of carries with it a little bit of like a whiff of betrayal to me, whether it's real or not. Like, there might be a feeling of like, you decide you want to change something and someone feels like, hey, but I thought you were going to work with me forever, or the thing that makes you make the move is feeling like having like a last straw experience with someone being like, you know what, that's the last time that you're going to like disrespect my worth and I'm done. Clarity is coming. I think as with all tarot card readings, there are ways to tiptoe around this or avoid it or soften it. And I think one of those ways is just to not like put too much pressure on yourself to know the answer, because I feel like the answer is coming. So yeah, you as you are right now, let's also just notice that you as you are right now is a person of great fortune. You know, like I feel like this 10 of Pentacles is like, and because I know you, it's hard, it's harder to read for people I know, but like surrounded by family, business is good. You have what you need. There's a really wonderful foundation around you. So I feel like something that the tarot wants you to know is that things are actually good right now. So let's also make sure that we're not like asking this question prematurely, right? Because there's so much prosperity around. So I think what it also says is that God, I wanted to use this expression. I can't remember what it is, but that either way, right? Things are probably going to be good for you either way. There's money to be made. It's not, I think that's the thing, is it's not really a question of money or security. It's something else. So let me just put out the rest of the cards before I keep talking your ear off. Yeah, I mean, I think I was getting sweaty when I read tarot cards. Do with that what you will. Final outcome here. What I do know about it is this Two of Wands. Again, it's not about Pentacles, it's about Wands, right? It's about what is my path in this world? Like, how can I best use my creativity? And the Two of Wands is we're looking back, right, at the way the world has been. We're like holding the small version of the world that we knew, and kind of coming to a reckoning of like, am I ready to expand? Am I ready to like live life a different way? So I think, again, it's a slower process of deciding this than you might be wanting right now. And I think urgency is not your friend. What I do love, you as you appear to other people, this beautiful strength card. And again, the cliche of the tarot is that the strength is always portrayed as like a beautiful woman holding down the jaws of a lion, because it's the reminder that strength is not physical strength. It comes from within. So I think I've said this to you before, that what you do have going for you, first of all, is that things are going well. So like, I think it's easier to make a leap to something better when things are already good, because you're in the mindset of like knowing that things can be good and that you are deserving. But I think this is also great because you're attracting opportunities to you with your ability to stay the course, stay even when other people are freaking out, and see clear solutions. So I'm wondering if part of this question is coming from like, yeah, like where can I flex my abilities, right? And also what's the version of the workplace that's less crazy? I mean, there's a desire to get away from what feels like insanity here. Hopes and or fears, judgment. I think I see two things in here. I think one is the hope for like that. The judgment moment is like, and oh my God, I understand it all. Like it's a rebirth, it's change, it's uprising. And I think there's a fear of like, I mean, I almost never say this when it comes to a major card, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I think there's a fear of judgment, just plain old like being judged, you know? And I think that goes along with this, is like, there's a little bit of what will people say, you know? And sometimes when you decide what's right for you, people do say stuff. And there may be some friction. And nobody really wants that. So there's a little fear of that. And fear of upheaval too, you know, when we make a big change. Yeah, when we make a change, we make a change. It doesn't, like, that's the thing, like what we pay for change with is the willingness to experience change, which is upheaval and uncertainty. But, you know, long past, I'm interested in the fact that in long past, people are calling me while I'm doing this, and I'm going to hang up on them. And hopefully Instagram is still working. Pause due to poor connection. I'm sad. I'm in the middle of a reading. What I'm interested in is long past being the Queen of Wands for you. And this is the tarot saying that for a very long time, you've been an artist, you've been a creative person, you've been a person who is the queen is a position of authority, right? Having paid their dues, having learned a lot. And you've sort of been like ready to work for yourself since childhood, you know? So I think if I personally had to say between the Queen of Wands coming up from the past, which is kind of like, can I just get in the driver's seat already? And this, I think we are again, it's up to you. But if working for yourself is something you want, I think we're looking at that. There's a yearning there. I just think go for the right reasons. Don't do it because there's a falling out, um, and I also think that it's not an either or. I mean, I think that like, should you start working for yourself and then someone wants you to help them with a project who you admire and who you feel like up levels you um, with the way they do things, then like, why not say yes? But I do think that there's this kind of like, where'd she go? This kind of like emerging queen that's been knocking on your door for a while. That's like, what I want to do this. And also I refer you to last week's chat about the word should. And what I'm on a mission to just like take that out of our vocabulary completely, because what it always means is I don't want to make this decision. Someone else should make it. Someone else should, someone else make it for me. And if we take the word should out of things and we say, replace it with I want, we have to confront a little more truth about ourselves. And we also have to, but get to decide on the next course of action that will actually do something for us, right? Like, I think my example last week was like, I think my upstairs neighbors should not be making noise at 5:30 in the morning. But if I take out should and I say what I want is peace and quiet, then I'm left with, okay, what can I do for peace and quiet? Like, what can I do for myself? And then I'm not stuck in like what they should do. And similarly, instead of asking, should I, if we turn that around and say like, what do I want? What is best for me? That's really the question. There isn't really anybody on high who can be like, this is the course of action. And also, like I said, there is no course of action that doesn't involve some aggravation. So it's kind of like just like, what version of work do you want, knowing there's always going to be a degree of satisfaction and a degree of pain. But yeah, some will have more than others. And I think like floating behind this is that we both know that you want to go into business for yourself, I think it's just the main message of this is like, yes, you can. Don't rush it. Stay in that if there aren't concrete opportunities that are forcing a choice right now, there probably will be soon. So give yourself a chance to stay with the indecision. And and let me know what happens. Someday I will give an actual mini tarot card reading. You guys, my name is Rebecca Hart. Please visit me at cleartarotnyc.com or the Tarot Philosopher on Instagram. Everybody who's watching later, know that this happens most Fridays at 12. If you want to be the person who I do a reading for, just drop me a line. Let me know your question. You can show up or not. And I will talk to you next time. See you in the future.